Alrighty, folks, welcome to our NBA free pick video here today for Friday, January 12th, 2024. Happy Friday to you. Weekend's finally here, and of course, my name is Brock Page. I've been dishing out free sports picks right here on YouTube since 2016. And if you want to see which one of these free plays on this video that I actually like the best, you may want to think about signing up for today's extra daily pick on my premium site. We're now hitting at 8-1 with a push in our last 10 extra daily picks in that particular package. And the good news is we have another extra daily pick going off here this evening. I'll explain a little bit more about that at the end of the video. But with that, folks, let's go ahead and dive into some free content. And we're going to start off with the Rockets at the Pistons, 7:30 Eastern tip-off. Houston is the 7.5-point favorite, totals 227 and a hook. And now, this should be a pretty tough test for a Pistons team who can't score points. Detroit's facing a Rockets team on the other side who's one of the toughest teams to shoot against in the entire league. Houston's allowing fewer field goals per game on D than any other club in the NBA. And no real surprise here, folks. They've got the lowest defensive three-point percentage in the entire association as well. And unfortunately for Detroit on the other side, their top-scoring bench player shoots just 37% from the field. And when it comes to shooting from three-land, no one does it worse than Detroit. The Pistons are making fewer three-pointers a game than any other team in the league. Now, injury-wise, Cunningham and Morris are still out for Detroit. Brooks and Eason inactive for Houston. When it comes to the total, the Rockets saw unders recently against the likes of the Bucks, Nets, and Pacers. Meanwhile, Detroit's gone 6-3 to the under in their out-of-conference home games. And one more thing to add about Detroit, they're currently 0-15 against the Western Conference at home. Give me the Rockets minus 7.5, under 227.5. All right, next matchup, Pacers Hawks, 7:30 p.m. East. Atlanta's minus 6, totals 252. And even though the Pacers' Tyrese Halliburton is banged up at the moment, it's actually the Hawks who've really struggled on defense recently. They're 2-7 against the spread in their last 9. And they're having all kinds of problems defensively at home. The Hawks are letting their visitors make 51% of their field goals against them in the State Farm Arena. And out of 15 contests in their own building, the Hawks have covered the point spread only 3 times. They're facing a Pacers team on the other side who continues to cover the number despite their injury report. Indy's gone 8-1 against the spread in their last 9. They've got a slew of guys who can still get to the basket. Miles Turner, he's making 53% of his field goals. He ranks second on the roster in scoring. Meanwhile, Obi Toppin, he's knocking down nearly 41% of his long balls. Now, injury-wise, Smith and Nesmith are both questionable for the Pacers. Halliburton and Walker are out. Meanwhile, for the Hawks on the other side, Matthews, Young, and Capella are questionable. Krejci, Goye, Hunter, and Wesley Matthews are out. Atlanta's 12-3 to the over in their own arena. Meanwhile, the Pacers have gone 10-3 to the over in their in-conference road games. Give me the Pacers plus 6 over 252. Next game, Kings, Sixers, 7:30 Eastern tip-off. Philadelphia's 1.5 at home, totals 242. And even though they are slightly favored, the Sixers are still going to work without Joel Embiid. He's currently battling a knee injury. As a team, the Sixers are on a 3-game skid, and they really struggled on defense during that stretch. Philly allowed 129 points a game during that 3-game losing streak. And as efficient as they were shooting from three-land, the Sixers really don't make a whole lot of deep balls. They're actually in the bottom 3 in the East in three-pointers made per contest. D'Anthony Melton's making just 39% of his attempts from the field. And they're facing a Kings team on the other side who plays some tough defense on the road. They're in the top 10 in defensive points per game while traveling. And in their last 8 ball games, the Kings got the W in all of those except for 2. Domantas Sabonis makes 40% of his three-pointers, and he ranks second on the roster in points. Now, scoring-wise, De'Aaron Fox, he averages a team-high 27 points per game himself. When it comes to the injury list, Kevin Huerter's questionable for Sacramento. Embiid and Covington are out for Philly. 5 out of the Sixers' last 7 stayed under the total. Meanwhile, Sacramento's gone 12-5 to the under in their road trips. Give me the Kings plus 1.5, under 242. Next game, bit of a toilet bowl here. Hornets, Spurs, 8 o'clock. San Antonio -2, total 243. And even though the Spurs are favored by a basket here, these guys have been terrible on their own hardwood. They're just 2-15 straight up at home this year, and they're second to last in defensive boards in their own building. When it comes to offensive production, or lack thereof, well, the Spurs are the lowest third-quarter scoring team in the game. Victor Wembanyama, he's making just 28% of his three-pointers. Zach Collins shoots 31% from three-land himself. They're facing a Charlotte team who plays some pretty solid defense early. They're actually in the top 10 in first-quarter points allowed. Meanwhile, on the other end of the court, they're scoring a lot of points late in games. Charlotte's currently in the top 5 in the NBA in fourth-quarter scoring. Terry Rozier scores 24 points per contest. Miles Bridges averages over 20.5 points a game as well. When it comes to the injury list, Ntilikina, Martin, Washington, and Ball are questionable. Williams and Hayward are still out. Meanwhile, for the Spurs on the other side, Collins and Sissoko are still out for them. The Spurs' last 5 straight fell under the total. Talking about unders against the likes of the Pistons, Cavaliers, and Bucks. Meanwhile, Charlotte went 6-3 to the under in their last 9. Give me the Hornets +2, under 243. Next matchup, it is going to be Warriors-Bulls, 8 o'clock Eastern start time. Chicago's -3, totals 228. Now, the Bulls won their last 3 straight, and they're playing their best basketball in the United Center. These guys have won 13 ball games in their own arena. They've been very tough defensively there. The Bulls are currently in the top 3 in the East in defensive points per game at home. DeMar DeRozan's got a handful of steals defensively this year, club leader in points on offense. Meanwhile, Kobe White scores 18.5 points a game himself, and he's drilling 40% of his long balls. Now, they're facing a struggling Warriors team who lost 6 out of their last 8. And out of 15 road games, Golden State got the W only 6 times. They're currently a bottom 10 point allowing team on D. Now, injury-wise, Paul, Green, Payton, and Moody are out for the Warriors. When it comes to the total, the Warriors saw unders recently against the likes of Detroit, Miami, and Washington. Meanwhile, Chicago went 8-2 to the under in their last 10 themselves. Give me the Bulls -3, under 228. Next game, Clippers, Grizzlies, 8 o'clock East. The Clippers are -8.5, totals 229. Now, the Clippers got the W in 7 out of their last 8. And they currently rank in the top 3 in the league in shooting the 3-ball. Kawhi Leonard drills 43% of his three-pointers, club leader in points. Meanwhile, Paul George is averaging a bunch of points per contest himself, and he knocks down 41% of his deep balls. George second on the roster in scoring. Now, they're facing a Memphis club on the other side who has all kinds of problems guarding the long ball themselves. They're in the bottom 5 in the West in defensive three-point percentage. When it comes to grabbing rebounds, they're in the bottom 5 in the entire league in boards per game on defense. But the big problem with Memphis this season has been their offensive production. The Grizzlies are the worst three-point shooting team in the league. They also make fewer field goals per contest than any other franchise except for one. Luke Kennard makes just 41% of his attempts from the field. Zaire Williams makes just 41% of his field goals as well. When it comes to the injury report, well, these guys are pretty banged up at the moment. Aldama, Clark, Smart, and Rose are still out for the Grizzlies. 5 out of Memphis's last 7 outings did stay under the total. They're also 12-4 to the under in the FedEx Forum. Now the Clippers on the other side, they saw unders in 5 out of their last 8. Give me the Clippers -8.5, under 229. Next game, Magic Heat, 8 o'clock East. Miami's the 3-point favorite, totals 221. And even though Miami struggled recently, they do play their best at home. They're making over 40% of their attempts from 3 land in their own building. Duncan Robinson drills 41% of his 3-pointers, 13 points a night on average. Bam Adebayo's scoring 22 points a game himself. He's averaging double-digit rebounds. And speaking of boards, Miami's a top 10 defensive rebounding team. Now they're taking on a Magic club on the other side who does struggle a bit on offense. These guys are in the bottom 5 in the East in field goals made per game. They've also been little threat shooting it from downtown. Orlando's making fewer 3-pointers a game than any other franchise except for 2. Now the Magic took the loss in 5 out of their last 8. They were also 8-11 straight up in their road games. Isaac, Franz Wagner, both Harrises, they're out. Ingles, Carter, Schofield, Anthony, questionable. Meanwhile, for Miami on the other side, Lowry, Butler, Hero, and Martin are day-to-day. Miami saw overs recently against the likes of OKC, Houston, and Philadelphia. They've also gone 11-6 to the over in front of their own fans. Now, Orlando saw overs recently against the likes of Denver, Sacramento, and Golden State. Give me Miami -3, over 221. Next contest, Blazers, T-Wolves, 8 o'clock Eastern start time. Minnesota's -15, totals 222. Now the T-Wolves have been dominant in the Target Center. They're 14-2 on their own court. They are the toughest team in the league to score against. Minnesota's allowing fewer points per contest than any other team in the league. And unfortunately for Portland, they're the lowest scoring team in the NBA. Dead last in points per contest. Now, no real surprise here. Portland's also the worst field goal shooting team in the NBA. Shaedon Sharpe, he's making just 40% of his attempts from the field this year. Scoot Henderson makes only 36% of his field goals. Injury-wise, Ayton Walker and Shaedon Sharpe are questionable. Keep an eye on them. Meanwhile, for the T-Wolves, Rudy Gobert is questionable with a hip. Minnesota's gone 63% to the under in front of their home crowd this year. Portland saw unders in 5 out of their last 8. Give me the T-Wolves -15, under 222 in the tight window. Next game, Raptors, Jazz, 9:30 East. Utah's 2.5, total 238. Utah's played some pretty good basketball recently. They're 8-2 straight up in their last 10. Covered in 80% of those ball games. When the Jazz play at home, good things happen. They're 12-5 in Salt Lake City, and they're a top 3 offensive rebounding team in the West. Lauri Markkanen is grabbing 8 boards a night, team leader in points. Colin Sexton makes 48% of his field goals and averages 16 points a game. They're facing a Toronto team who struggles defensively on the road. The Raptors are in the bottom 5 in the East in defensive field goal percentage away from home. And out of 20 ball games away from Toronto this year, the Raptors got the W only 6 times. Good for just 30% in that particular category. Now, injury-wise, Porter and Siakam are questionable. Jacob Poeltl's still out. The Raptors saw 6 out of their last 7 out-of-conference road games get over. They also went 80% to the over in their last 10 at any location. Utah has gone 62% to the over against Eastern Conference opponents. Give me the Jazz -2.5, over 238. And with that, folks, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup for the video. It's going to be in that Pelicans-Nuggets game, 10 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Denver's the 9-point favorite, totals 228.5. And I'll tell you, regardless of New Orleans' injury report, we're looking at a Denver squad on the other side who struggles covering the point spread. They're 3-6 against the spread in their last 9, and they've done a poor job of covering the number against the West. They're just 9-17 against the spread against Western Conference opponents. good for just 34% in that particular category. And as good as the Nuggets can be offensively, there are a couple problem areas that you may want to think about. For one, they don't make a lot of deep balls. Denver's in the bottom 10 in three-pointers made per contest. They're also one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the game. They're in the bottom 3 in the West in free throw percentage from the stripe. They're facing a Pelicans team on the other side who prides itself in defensive play. They're in the top 5 in defensive points per game. And no real shock here, they're allowing fewer second quarter points than any other franchise in basketball. Jonas Valanciunas, he's averaging just about double-digit rebounds a night, 57% shooting from the field. When it comes to covering the number, the Pels successfully covered in 5 out of their last 6. Covers against the likes of the Warriors, Kings, and Clippers. Now, injury-wise, the Pels are really banged up right now. That's why you're seeing this large number. McCollum, Ingram, Zion, and Murphy are all questionable. Matt Ryan's still out. Meanwhile, for Denver on the other side, Julian Strawther's inactive for them. Denver is 18-8 to the under in their in-conference ball games. The Pelicans saw 5 out of their last 9 stay under the line themselves. Unders against the likes of the Kings, Clippers, and Nets. Give me the Pelicans +9, under 228.5. And with that, folks, now it is time for our quick pick recap. Give me the Rockets -7.5, under 227 and a hook. Pacers +6, over 252. Sacramento Kings +1.5, under 242. I'm hitting at 78% my last 9 extra daily picks on my premium site. The link is in my bio. Hornets +2, under 243. Bulls -3, under 228. Clippers -8.5, under 229. Miami Heat -3, over 221. Timberwolves -15, under 222. Jazz -2.5, over 238. With my next and final free pick for the video, give me the Pelicans +9, under 228.5. And with that, folks, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my premium page. If you do end up getting a membership here today on patreon.com/BrockPage, just a friendly reminder, you're going to get access to that membership every single day for the next 30 days. And as an added bonus, you're also going to get access to all of my cheaper memberships absolutely free. They're going to be included with your purchase. That's why I always tell folks that Chairman Package, it's a full access, all-inclusive membership. It gives you access to every single premium selection of mine, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. And as an added bonus, you also get access to my Chairman podcast absolutely free. It's included with your purchase. But most importantly, guys, gotta thank you for joining me right here on the free video. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. With that said, folks, happy Friday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my premium page at patreon.com/BrockPage.